Reclaiming my time. How about by firearms? Can you tell me how many kids were killed in shootings across the country in 2024? You can see right behind me.
I can't read it.
3,865, over 10 a day. That's more than drownings, more than car accidents, more than cancer, and certainly more than fluoride. So do the thousands of parents who are burying their kids in this country every single year. But what I don't know is how you can expect the American people to take your opinion seriously when you try to tell them that they don't need to worry about the leading cause of death for their kids while you tour the country to talk about the supposed dangers of fluoride. You should focus your efforts on things that are really killing our children in this country every single day. We have limited...
I now recognize the gentlelady from Georgia, Ms. McBath.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Secretary Kennedy, for being before us today. You have characterized many things as epidemics and threats to public health, including autism and the presence of fluoride in our drinking water. Shootings are the #1 cause of death for children in this country, and they have been since 2020. But when you were asked if gun violence was a public health crisis during your Senate confirmation hearing last year, you answered with a succinct no, which I would like to submit digitally for the record. My son Jordan Davis was murdered in a shooting at just 17 years of age. Simple answer, yes or no. Do you believe that gun violence is an epidemic or a public health crisis?
I would say it's an epidemic. I think it's a law enforcement issue and not public health.
I find it kind of absurd to hear you say that. I really do.
You think I should be regulating gangs at HHS?
I think, Secretary, it's my time. I think it's kind of absurd to hear you say that. So can you tell me how many children were killed by fluoride toxicity in my home state of Georgia in 2024?
Fluoride toxicity? Probably none.
You're right. The answer is absolutely zero. So can you tell me how many children were
Fluoride
killed by
doesn't kill you.
fluoride across the country in 2024?
Fluoride doesn't kill you. That's an absurd question.
Again, that answer is zero. So how about...
Nobody would answer that question.
I'm reclaiming my time. How about by firearms? Can you tell me how many kids were killed in shootings across the country in 2024? You can see right behind me.
I can't read it.
What you're watching here is a direct collision between data and deflection. The question is simple: are shootings a public health crisis? But instead of engaging that reality, the response tries to reframe it as purely a law enforcement issue. And that distinction matters, because it determines responsibility, funding, and urgency. Then comes the contrast: 0 deaths from fluoride versus thousands from firearms. That's not just a statistic, it's a narrative reset. The Congresswoman is forcing a comparison that exposes priorities. So the real question becomes, if the numbers are this clear, why isn't the focus?
3,865, over 10 a day. That's more than drownings, more than car accidents, more than cancer, and certainly more than fluoride. It is far more than many of the things that you choose to focus on in your time as Secretary. I'm reclaiming my time, Secretary. It's obvious that gun violence is an epidemic, and it is both a public health crisis. I know it, and so do the thousands of parents who are burying their kids in this country every single year. But what I don't know is how you can expect the American people to take your opinion seriously when you try to tell them that they don't need to worry about the leading cause of death for their kids.
I never told them
I'm reclaiming my time. While you tour the country to talk about the supposed dangers of fluoride, you should focus your efforts on things that are really killing our children in this country every single day. We have limited time here, but I also want to ask you about your comments about people with disabilities, especially about people with autism. During your first press conference as Secretary in April of last year, you said, and I'm quoting, "Autism destroys families, that these are kids who will never pay taxes, never hold a job, never play baseball, never write a poem, or go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted," which I would also like to submit for the record. The truth is that the
Can I respond
majority,
to
I'm
that?
reclaiming my
Without
time.
objection, it'll be
Thank you.
submitted.
Thank you. The truth is that the majority of people on the autism spectrum can do all the things that you
Of
have
course they
mentioned.
can, and I never said they couldn't.
Some people with disabilities do need direct care to assist them with activities like going to the bathroom, but that does not mean that they are somehow less than or unable to lead fulfilling and productive lives, as you
And
have
nobody said they
implied.
were.
I'm reclaiming my time. I'm asking you here today, Secretary, to apologize for spreading lies about people with autism and their families. Will you apologize for those remarks that you've made?
Of course not. Then if you let me explain, I'm happy to. I was talking about people with profound autism, not people who are, who have lower impact autism. I'm talking about people who are nonverbal, non-toilet trained, head banging, stimming, toe walking.
Okay, then since you
Hundreds and hundreds of people have written me letters thanking
what you
me
really
for
meant,
those comments.
since you're explaining what you really meant, can you apologize to the thousands of families that do not believe what you're just telling us now?
No, because if you look at my
You
comments,
refuse
it
to
was clear
apologize.
who I was
find that
talking
very,
about.
very sad. I find that very, very sad. It should be very easy for you to apologize if that's not, in fact, what
Those
you
are
meant.
crocodile tears, Congresswoman.
And for all the families that have children with autism, I'm very sad to hear you say that,
you want to
because
deal
those
with
families
autism,
are
God.
dealing with the kinds of conditions that many people just don't even understand.
If
The
you wanna-
president is
if
trying
you
to
wanna
close
deal
the
with autism,
Department of
come and talk to
Education.
me. If you
If
want a
that
soundbite,
happened,
keep
I'm
talking.
reclaiming my time. The president is trying to close the Department of Education. If that happens, services provided under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, including special ed, may move under your jurisdiction. This is unacceptable for so many reasons, but one of the most important
gentlelady's
reasons
time
is
has expired.
this. No parent wants their son or daughter's education to be in the hands of a man who openly admits that he does not believe in their children. And I yield.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
This exchange lands with weight because it's not just about policy. It's about credibility, priorities, and what leadership chooses to emphasize when lives are on the line. From the very beginning, the Congresswoman builds a structured argument. She contrasts issues that have been labeled epidemics with one that statistically dominates the lives of American children: gun violence. And what makes this moment so striking is the tension between acknowledgement and classification. The witness concedes that it is an epidemic, but then immediately draws a boundary, insisting it's not a public health issue. That's not just semantics. That's a strategic distinction with real-world consequences. Because once something is labeled a public health crisis, it opens the door to research funding, prevention strategies, federal coordination, and long-term intervention frameworks. By resisting that label, the response effectively limits the scope of action. And that's exactly what the Congresswoman is challenging. She's not just asking for an opinion. She's exposing the implications behind that opinion. Then comes the most powerful pivot in the exchange: the numbers. 0 deaths from fluoride. Thousands from firearms. This is where the argument becomes almost impossible to ignore. It's not abstract anymore. It's measurable, it's visible, and it's emotionally grounded by her personal loss. That moment reframes the entire conversation. It's no longer about theoretical risks. It's about lived reality versus perceived threats. And when the conversation shifts to autism, we see a similar pattern emerge: statements made publicly, followed by attempts to narrow or recontextualize them under pressure. The Congresswoman presses on accountability, not just clarification. And the refusal to offer a direct apology becomes another defining moment. Because in political communication, what you choose not to say often carries as much weight as what you do say. What ties this entire exchange together is a deeper question about trust. Can the public rely on leaders who appear to minimize statistically dominant threats while amplifying less substantiated ones? Can families feel represented when their lived experiences are met with deflection or qualification instead of clarity? This wasn't just a heated exchange, it was a revealing one. It highlighted how language shapes policy, how priorities are signaled, and how accountability is tested in real time. And ultimately, it leaves viewers with a clear takeaway. The debate isn't just about what is happening. It's about what leaders are willing to recognize and what they're not. If you found this breakdown helpful, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this was a fair exchange, or did something important go unanswered? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more sharp political analysis that cuts through the noise.